Alex and Chris both landed corporate roles, clearing $15,000 a month. Alex immediately upgraded to match his new status. He signed a lease on a luxury downtown loft, financed a $75,000 electric vehicle, and spent weekends at high end steakhouses. He looked like the definition of success. Chris stayed in his cramped studio apartment, drove a beat up sedan, and quietly funneled 60% of his income into obscure, unglamorous investments. Alex called Chris paranoid for living like a peasant. Then the tech bubble burst. Mass layoffs swept the industry. Within 60 days, Alex was defaulting on loans, facing eviction, and selling his watches for pennies on the dollar to survive. Chris lost his job on the exact same day. He did not panic. He did not rush to update a resume. Instead, he took a 6-month vacation. Alex thought high income meant financial security. Chris knew high income was just a tool to execute a hidden wealth blueprint called the income decoupling protocol, a strategy the top 1% use to make financial ruin mathematically impossible. The great lie of modern society is that earning more money automatically generates wealth. The financial system relies on the middle class conflating high income with high net worth. The reality is drastically different. High earners routinely go bankrupt because they fail to understand the core mechanism separating the ultra-wealthy from the working rich. That mechanism is the income decoupling protocol. The income decoupling protocol is the intentional mathematical separation of standard of living from revenue generation. It dictates that as income scales, lifestyle expenses remain artificially frozen at a predetermined baseline. The resulting gap, the delta between the frozen baseline and the increasing income, is never treated as disposable cash. Instead, it is ruthlessly diverted into non-correlated cash-producing assets before it ever hits a checking account. Society dictates that a $100,000 raise justifies a $100,000 lifestyle upgrade. The decoupling protocol dictates that a $100,000 raise changes absolutely nothing about daily existence, but changes everything about the individual underlying asset sheet. By totally severing the psychological link between earning power and consumption, the individual rapidly builds an impenetrable financial fortress that renders economic downturns completely irrelevant. To understand why the decoupling protocol works, it is necessary to examine the trap that destroys individuals like Alex. It is known as Parkinson's Law of Income, which states that expenses inevitably rise to meet income. When income increases, the financial system deploys heavy psychological warfare. Credit card limits are automatically raised, mortgage brokers suddenly pre-approve massive loans, car dealerships roll out the red carpet for luxury leases. The system aggressively incentivizes high earners to transform their newfound cash flow into high-interest liabilities disguised as status symbols. The individual begins playing the visibility game. A massive mortgage in a mansion, a luxury car payment, and expensive social obligations quickly consume the $15,000 monthly take-home pay. The earner feels rich, but the balance sheet tells a different story. Every new purchase demands constant future capital to maintain. The house requires massive property taxes and upkeep. The luxury car depreciates aggressively while demanding high insurance premiums. This creates a state of extreme fragility. The earner is entirely dependent on the next paycheck to service the debt on their liabilities. They have simply become a highly paid conduit, passing money from their employer directly to banks, auto lenders, and luxury brands. The income is high, but the retention rate is zero. If the income stream stops for even 30 days, the entire illusion shatters, leading to catastrophic financial collapse. The individual utilizing the income decoupling protocol operates in a completely different reality. They recognize that real wealth is invisible. It is not parked in the driveway, and it is not posted on social media. Real wealth is a cold, boring spreadsheet of compounding assets. When applying the protocol, the primary focus shifts entirely from acquiring visible liabilities to acquiring invisible cash flow. The baseline lifestyle is calculated accurately, covering basic housing, reliable transportation, food, and necessary utilities. Once that baseline is established, an ironclad firewall is built around it. If the baseline requires $4,000 a month to maintain and the income spikes to $15,000 a month, the $11,000 delta is immediately siphoned away. It is not seen as reward money, it's viewed as unallocated troops that must be sent to the front lines to capture more territory. This capital is systematically deployed into broad market index funds, cash flowing real estate, or high yield dividend stocks. Over time, this strategy creates a secondary income stream completely detached from human labor. The invisible balance sheet grows exponentially. The assets begin generating enough pure cash flow to cover the 4,000 baseline lifestyle without the individual ever having to work. This is the exact moment the individual achieves true financial sovereignty. The status game is abandoned entirely in favor of the freedom game. The true power of the decoupling protocol is only revealed during macroeconomic chaos. A massive recession, a global pandemic, or a sudden industry collapse serves as the ultimate stress test. When the tide goes out, the highly leveraged, high income earners are exposed. Their companies execute mass layoffs and their commission structures evaporate. The bank does not care that the individual used to make $200,000 a year. The mortgage is still due on the first of the month. Because they built a lifestyle perfectly matched to their peak earning capacity, any drop in revenue causes immediate disaster. They are forced into panic selling assets at the bottom of the market, taking on predatory debt, and facing total ruin. Conversely, the individual operating under the protocol remains completely unbothered. Their baseline expenses are so low and their cash reserves and asset yields are so high that a total loss of primary income is merely an inconvenience. Furthermore, because they are sitting on a fortress of deployed capital and deep liquidity, they transition from defensive maneuvers to aggressive acquisition. While the highly leveraged high-income earners are facing foreclosure, the decoupled investor is buying their foreclosed real estate at a 40% discount. While the masses are panic selling equities, the decoupled investor is sweeping up undervalued stocks. The crisis that destroys the undisciplined earner acts as an accelerant for the decoupled investor, transferring wealth rapidly from the impatient to the patient. Implementing the decoupling protocol requires extreme discipline and adherence to three uncompromising rules. Rule 1, the 48-hour capital extraction. Money sitting in a primary checking account is psychologically vulnerable. It creates a false sense of abundance. Under the protocol, all excess capital beyond the defined baseline must be extracted and deployed into investments within 48 hours of hitting the account. Automation is preferred. The money must vanish before human emotion can rationalize spending it. Rule 2, the zero credit consumption mandate. The protocol strictly forbids using future labor to pay for present desires. If a luxury item, a vacation, or a vehicle cannot be purchased twice over in pure cash without impacting the investment matrix, it cannot be purchased at all. Credit is only used as a strategic tool to acquire income-producing assets, never to fund lifestyle inflation. Rule 3, the invisible promotion. When a raise, a bonus, or a windfall is achieved, the lifestyle remains static. The promotion is given exclusively to the investment portfolio. The individual does not celebrate with a new car. The individual celebrates by acquiring more shares or providing a down payment on a duplex. The masses will always lose the wealth game because they fundamentally misunderstand the objective. They believe the goal is to look wealthy to strangers. They sacrifice their freedom, their peace of mind, and their future security to maintain a carefully curated illusion of success. The elite understand that true wealth is silent. It is the ability to wake up and dictate exactly how the day will be spent. It is absolute immunity from economic downturns, corporate restructuring, and inflation. This level of autonomy cannot be financed, and it cannot be bought with a high salary alone. It must be engineered. By rejecting the mainstream narrative of consumption, ignoring the artificial pressures of status, and ruthlessly executing the decoupling protocol, any high earner can break the cycle of the working rich. It is not about depriving oneself of a good life, it is about permanently securing a life entirely free from financial terror. The math is simple, the rules are absolute, and the result is an unbreakable financial fortress.